So we're off to the Battle of Malvern Hill. We have almost $400,000 at this point, so we're doing really well financially. So 15 units are going to come in at first, and then 15 units are going to come in to defend. And you'll notice this is a great big open area, and that's what makes this, I think, challenging. So the enemy is going to have quite a lot of troops, but in the end, we're going to have more. Take a look at that map though, and notice at the south end of it, there's a really good defensive position back there. And there's also a creek in the middle of the battlefield. So if you have to fall back, that's not bad. The enemy can attack both of your flanks pretty far back, but he doesn't really launch a concentrated attack there. But you have to hold the objective in the far south. You have to hold one of them. And unfortunately, you have to hold the objective in the front. Now, what I do, and everyone does, is simply defend the flag in the front. But I have actually abandoned this in previous battles and fallen back to the better defensive line in the back, brought in a lot of artillery, and inflicted enormous damage on the attacking enemy. So you'll notice that there's the objective here, which is kind of a farm, and then there's a fortified position on the left. As usual, the fortified position on the left is a death trap, and actually there are two of them, I think. And I don't want to defend there. I want to defend in the woods and that field. The farm itself should offer pretty good protection, and the woods on the left, that's excellent. And I also want to put a unit on the enemy flank. So we're going to advance and draw the enemy into some kind of a fight on the left. And I want to defend this wood line. Now, you'll notice there's also a fortified position in the wood line. I hate that position intensely, because what happens is you take flanking fire from across the river and your units there will rout. So it's a good thing to occupy if there's going to be if you're getting charged. So if there's going to be a melee fight, then that's not bad. And it's also, those positions aren't terrible for skirmishers. They're actually pretty good for skirmishers with infantry right behind them. So that works out. But they're still broken. And I hope the game developers fix these fortifications eventually where they're really, really good and they act like entrenchments. Right now, they don't. So you have to be aware of the limitations of these. And once again, the wood line is going to be much better than the fortification in the wood line, which makes no sense whatsoever. So I'm going to advance and just I just want him to deploy his artillery. I want his artillery to deploy at the max distance away from my army. And here, this is just screwed up AI. Although I've seen human players do this too. You don't advance with artillery. That's a bad idea. Because if you do, someone's probably going to take a shot at it and cost you some guns. So if he's willing to do that, I'm willing to advance some skirmishers to knock out a few of his guns. And just cause him general heartache. Oh, that's lovely. I'm in the woods and I'm firing into this guy with lots of cover, and he's standing out in the open. That's terrific. That unit has very good cover on the left. Yeah, they're coming, and there's going to be a lot of them. Boy, the speed of the Confederate of these units, the enemy units, is really amazing. In a post I just made, I called this the roller skate battalions. Yeah, if you don't go out and get these guys, they'll just sit back happily and not start the battle. I don't want that to happen. I want these guys to get engaged in combat in terrain of my choosing, so I can start inflicting casualties on them. The whole point of this is to inflict casualties on the enemy. I can't do that if he sits back quietly for an hour and doesn't do anything. And he will. Like, there's 19 minutes to go. We wouldn't have exchanged a single shot if I didn't go out and get these guys. And these guys are fast. I would really like to know what perks the enemy has to be able to move that fast. I really like this defensive position I have right now. The two units kind of in the center are not standing on top of each other, and that's good. I like that. Um, they're not overlapping. My units aren't bouncing around. Everything's really well, really going really well. I want to put some guys on the other side of the river because the AI will move units over there and then come across that bridge. And right behind this, there's a flag, a victory location, and he'll come. There's a bridge, or a place to cross right there, where I just sent that guy. And his job is to let me know if anyone is going to that location. If he comes across this bridge that's kind of center left, then I can make him pay for that because there's no other way across there but the bridge, and I can inflict massive losses on him as he comes across and then as he goes back to the other side, and I just have to know where he is. So that's the whole point of that. And looking forward to bringing this artillery up. He's going to get a bunch more infantry and artillery. That's fine. And we're going to good, because that's more to take out. So all we need to do is just keep in really good cover and keep blasting away at this guy. Yep, and there my unit goes, drifting off to the left. I don't like that, so I'm going to have him fall back and then move forward into some kind of better position. And that guy on the far left, his job is to keep the enemy from crossing that river and then coming up behind my army. That's a real irritant. So, and eventually I went to a counterattack from that position into the enemy rear myself. So that's the plan, is that eventually I'm going to counterattack and try to take out everybody who's on this side of the river. And if I can get over there with enough force, I can get over and first take out his artillery and then cut him off from escape. So that's the plan. One of the things about this is I want to keep the initiative. And in the beginning, I can't really keep the initiative across the entire map because, well, take a look at how much of the bar is red and how much is blue. But what I can do is I can make him pay for attacking by taking up good positions and then look for any opportunities to attack and bust him up. And I have a goal to destroy his entire force by attacking him where I don't think he's going to be, which is going to be his what would be his right flank right now. Past that last unit that I see, there's nothing, and so that's a place to attack when I'm finally able to. But first, I'm going to let him weaken himself as much as possible. Well, and hopefully hold this line. Everything is dependent on being able to hold. And if I can't hold, I'm going to fall back to very good defensive positions that are on the other side of this little creek. I can't fall back there now, but I will be able to fall back there in the next phase if things go badly. I could fall back, set up a defensive line, bring up some more artillery, which is going to come to the battle, and inflict a lot of damage on him, and then counterattack from there. Could do that too. That might work. In fact, that might be a better strategy than what I'm doing right now. It might be that backing up into my reserves and then hitting him with the combined force from further south of this location would be the ideal. And that's kind of what happened historically. The Union had an enormous amount of artillery on a hill, and Malvern Hill, and the South attacked into massed federal guns and got just torn to pieces. And you can replicate that by building a lot of artillery units and bringing, falling everybody back to there's a wood line, which makes a great defensive line, and I think I did this once with maybe 15 artillery batteries, and it just filled the air with basically shot, cannonball, and just absolutely tore the enemy units to pieces. There was just nothing left after a couple hours of firing artillery at these guys. And they just kept coming in across that creek and taking massive damage, and it worked like a charm. Unfortunately, you can't do that and win the battle. You have to counterattack and come back and take the flag, or you get a draw. So if you want to get a victory, you have to hold this forward location. So you'll notice that he is making a move to come in on my flank, but he also makes a move to cross that creek and get into the woods and then come up behind this position, and you cross a bridge and you actually get in behind this position, and that can become really unpleasant. So what I'm doing is I'm not going to let him do that. He keeps trying to inch his way down there, and no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna surprise him. He's hoping, the AI is hoping to surprise me, but I just surprised the AI. The AI is not supposed to have any opposition crossing this creek, and yep, just came up and hit him in the flank. Okay, he's charging. Took some canister in the face, some infantry fire. Would like to get out of this hand-to-hand fighting. That would be great. Some more canister fire. That was nice. How did I get 2 volleys of canister fire off? That was really nice. Bring my general over. He will give a buff to morale and morale recovery. That would be nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a unit up, and the unit that's in combat right now, I'm going to have him fall back so he can recover. The general will be over there, help him recover. It will all be very good. Does he even need to recover? I think he's doing okay. But that's okay. I'm going to rotate units out. And yeah, it's... And the hardest thing about this is keeping these units from walking on top of each other and then shuffling around. If that starts, this all goes into the trash can very fast. Keeping these units separated so that they don't start causing each other to bounce around is really crucial. Wow, those Harper's Ferries are doing really good work. Loving that. And the ideal is to catch these guys out in the open. And right now they're all standing out in the open, and my units have all really good cover. And I can do this all day. Again, I think the most important thing is These units are going to, I think, stay in supply the entire time. I don't think I'm going to have to turn off my artillery. I have full supply wagons of 35,000, and that is the single most important thing to do. And it just means I can take up really good defensive positions in the first part of every battle and just blast away without a concern in the world, having plenty of ammunition. The only thing I have to do is keep the supply wagon moving back and forth. It's the only thing I have to do. The two anchors of this position are on the flanks, and on the left I have this nice triangle going with a unit in reserve in case any unit on the front of the wood line gets tired, they get replaced. And on the right side I have 3 units, one of them just kind of sitting there marking time. And in the center I have 2 units in reserve, 3 units on the front line, backed up by the 24-pound howitzer, which is right now just a little bit too far removed from the action, and I really should back up the center of my line. I like everything that's happening except he has that one unit in the woods that is firing into my unit that is not, and that is not good. But yeah, my units in the woods on the left are tearing him apart. Oh, unfortunately, good, he charges. Happy to see that. That's terrific. I'll just let everybody fire into the guy who advanced and reduce him down to a shell of a unit. That'll be great. And again, he's going to try to cross the water. My unit is hidden, and hopefully I'll catch him and make him pay for that. I should let him get into the water before I attack. But that's okay. This will work. Okay, and he's also making a move on my far right, which is not unexpected. Yeah, I should have waited and let these guys get into the water. That would have been. But I really don't want these guys to get on my side of the water. I want to keep them over there. All kinds of bad things will happen if he gets 2 or 3 units across that river and starts moving through the woods. I would rather knock him out of there altogether, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, this might be an opportunity to catch him in the... Maybe he's in the water, maybe he's on the riverbank, I don't know. Get that guy some better cover. That's a lot of units he's moving over there on my right. And if they all cross the water and come up behind this line, I'm not going to be able to stay here. If I was in command of the Confederate Army, I would cross that river in force and come across that bridge and come up behind this position. But fortunately, the AI doesn't seem to be thinking in those terms. Okay, his right has kind of fallen apart and isn't doing anything very threatening. Well, that ends that phase of the battle. Three hours. Okay, and it's 16:29. 16:30 hours. And I think that's the end of the battle, so 19:30 hours, the end of the battle, maybe? Yeah, probably. What that means is I have some period of time, I'm looking for my reinforcements, which are not here. Some period of time to inflict casualties on his army, but I have to attack at some point, and right now I don't want to attack that mob. That is just way too strong and way too healthy a mob. So if something significant doesn't happen, I'm not going to be able to go after him because that would just be too costly. Now what I'm doing here is, of course, we never, ever, ever go through the woods because that is going to take forever and exhaust the army. So we're going to tell everybody to take the road. And on the right, I told those 2 units to hold on the far right. And yeah, this guy is charging. So I'm going to bring units up, have the guy in front fall back. He fell back perfectly, and now everybody's putting volleys into the attacking unit. Nice. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to last very long. Now what I really should tell these skirmisher units to do is to fire at that target, not to hold. That's a mechanical mistake. You should not tell your skirmishers to hold for long periods of time. You should tell them to fire. So what they'll do is they'll advance and they'll fire a volley, and then they'll back off, reload it, and advance and fire another volley. So if the enemy moves, they move with the enemy. Telling them just to hold, you have to micromanage that. Because if they get charged, they'll be killed. So that could be bad. Okay, I have 2 generals in the battlefield now. That's great. And they have almost overlapping zones of control, so they'll give everybody on the battlefield now a buff to morale. That'll be real good. I don't have to move my first corps commander back and forth as much. Almost everybody on the battlefield will get a buff. Look how big that circle is. Between the 2 large circles, everybody should get a buff to morale. It's been about 30 minutes game time, and his army is really not as strong as it was half an hour ago. I can see that the quality of his units is really degrading fast. Noticing a lot of units routing. His units are becoming smaller. He's bringing up more troops, but things are not going well for his army. I'm going to move my cav over to the right because I don't know what he's doing. And there might be an opportunity to cross over and maybe hit a lone artillery unit or snag a supply or something. Okay, and the rest of the army just got here. Yeah, you can clearly see the 2 objectives at the southern end, and he will try to snag both of those by sneaking a unit around both the right and left. Now he has almost no chance of getting around the left with my visibility of the left flank, but he could sneak somebody around my right and come in and just snag that victory location at the last minute. He's very capable of that. Boy, that artillery unit in the woods on the right is doing a great job. Next time I play this, I'm going to move an artillery unit into the woods on the left. Oh, that's... on the left, that's just... that worked out perfectly. The unit that fell back into the other unit, and then they both sent volleys into the advancing unit. Okay, he's in the water. Skirmishers will go through ammo really fast, so I have to do something about that guy being out of ammo. The reason I'm sending these guys on the left is my attack is going to take place on the left, across the river and through those, over the river and through the woods. Across the river, I'm going to attack from across the river. I'm also going to attack on the left side of those woods, and units are going to come pouring through that wooded area. I want to hit the enemy in that hole past his, what now is collapsed right flank, where there's nothing but empty space pretty much, and a couple of pretty shattered units. So what I envision is a couple of units in the front will put a hole, make sure there's a bigger hole than there currently is. There's right now a big enough hole to drive a battleship through, but a bigger hole. And before that would just come columns of troops, basically. And where the artillery is will be one objective, and the bridge coming in north of the bridge is going to be the other objective. To cut that little pocket of troops off, that's my goal. To surround and destroy that group of troops right now that is fighting around that clump of woods. I'd love to cut them off and destroy them. That would be perfect. Also get the artillery, get all of his artillery knocked out, and cut off these guys before they can escape, the guys that are right in front of me right now. I don't want to attack through those the position that he's occupying with good cover and concealment. As long as he's facing me, I want to surround those guys and hit them from all sides. So that would be the ideal. Okay, I needed to get my supply wagon to resupply the unit across the river. Fortunately, I can reach him from this side of the river. His units are now taking a real beating. Just absolutely getting torn up. And I got the two artillery batteries up that were part of the reinforcements. They're already online, doing a great job. I can see them tearing up his infantry. And what I want to do here is make sure that both of these units can fire. The guys I gave the crappy hunter rifles to, they fire really slow and they're really inaccurate. And they get blocked by anything. They get blocked by every other type of unit there is. They can't fire. They have to have a clear line of sight to anything they fire at. So I'm making sure that guy has a clear line of sight, because he'll just stand there and, basically do nothing. So I pulled back the unit the skirmisher unit that ran out of ammo. I have a supply wagon that's out of ammo. And I'll just get him out of the way. I would like to start, what I like to do at this point is start concentrating fire on small enemy units to destroy them and get them off the battlefield. If you can eliminate, let's say you can eliminate half of the enemy units by concentrating on the small ones, that really clears up the space. Just him having a unit of, say, 400 can be a blocking force, and just getting rid of those eliminates his ability to block you. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have 1 hour and 28 minutes. So whatever I'm going to do, I need to get at it, because that is not a lot of time. Not for as much ground as I want to cover. That guy just needs to rejoin his parent unit. So I hit T on that guy. Get the artillery up to a place where he can do some good work. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 artillery units, and there's barely room for a fifth one up there. Okay, so on the left, we have a cav, 2 infantry, and right behind that, 4 more infantry, and the guy across the river is going to join. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7 units. Plus the cav, I think. Or more. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 infantry and a cav. And we need to get rolling. With 43% condition in those fairly green units, well, very green units. Yeah, I love chasing those guys down and just firing volleys into them. That's entertaining. They're going to be exhausted by the time they get to the to where the artillery units are. And I have the skirmishers advancing where the artillery is, because artillery does minimal damage to skirmisher units. They do most of their damage to packed infantry units because, you know, a lot of guys packed, standing up next to each other. You can't miss. Skirmishers spread out, taking cover, will take much less damage. So all I want the skirmisher units to do is to get the artillery to waste their fire while I maneuver everyone into position and then take them out. And to my surprise, the AI is being pretty smart. He's recognizing, okay, maybe we should get out of here. Especially the artillery. Maybe we should save the artillery. And what happened was his infantry unit came across the river when I wasn't looking and charged the snipers. And that massively sucks. I need to get that guy out of there. I hate micromanaging snipers. It's so tedious. Snipers can do really great work, but I'm not going to buy good sniper weapons in this playthrough. I'm going to almost entirely use weapons that I get for free, except for 24-pound howitzers. But the really good sniper weapons are really good. Your sniper unit, if you micromanage it, and I mean like the entire battle, micromanage it, you can get a lot of kills with a good sniper unit. Not with the hunter rifles, though. The hunter rifles just don't have the accuracy or the range that the much better weapons have. So, and you have to micromanage them like crazy. Okay, he got out of there. That's all I really needed him to do. Need him to fall back and have the other guy get out of there too, and probably rejoin his unit. Now, this guy retreated across the river. That is complete nonsense. He should have... Devs, please get this retreating function fixed. There's no way an enemy unit in this situation would retreat toward the Union headquarters. they would retreat toward their supply source. They would retreat toward their chain of command, toward the other units of their division. The idea that they would retreat across the river into the Union camp, where there's, by the way, a ton of Union folks, supply people, cav running around. I mean, it's not empty over there. There's all kinds of support people in blue uniforms. Either fix it or have units that retreat in the wrong direction, just have them instantly surrender. There, problem solved. Any unit retreats in the wrong direction into the enemy rear, instantly surrenders. Done. So, anyway, that's irritating, because now I'm going to have to tie up 2 units that should be in my attack to deal with that nonsense. So, good news is the attack went through the woods, which was the objective, and did massive damage to the enemy artillery that was in there. Wonderfully took those guys out. And the infantry in this little pocket is now in deep trouble. The bad news is I have 54 minutes. And unfortunately, you have to grind these guys down slowly to nothing with volley after volley after volley. They will not surrender until they're knocked down to, 200 to 400 men each. Really, at this point, it'd be nice if there was some kind of a mechanism that the enemy understood how desperate their situation was, and they just all routed. I would think about actually doing that if I was in that situation, because you can hit your units, you can hit the rout button, and they will just flee. And in this case, they would probably rout across the bridge, and then you could recover them across the bridge. And there's a cheat mechanism where you can have units route a long distance and then recover them, and they don't lose any condition. I don't like that, and I don't like doing it because it's clearly cheating. But it would actually be better for the AI in this case to actually route his units back across that bridge. And I'm thinking of First Bull Run, when the Union Army did rout because their only way of retreat across a single bridge got blocked, and the entire army on the wrong side of the river panicked and fled. That would not be unrealistic, because it did happen there. And you would think that would be the normal response men would have to being caught and completely surrounded on the wrong side of that bridge. You would think that a great many of them would just run. Well, at First Bull Run, the whole lot of them ran. Okay, I send an infantry unit to guard this flag. Would not be a complete surprise if he sent at least 1 infantry unit to go after this. Try to snag it. I'd like to put a few volleys on that artillery unit and maybe wipe it out before it... Oh, if I could catch it in the water, that would be even nicer. I want to be as close as possible to these infantry units as they rout. That would be nice. Put volleys into them. And I think that guy is shattered up in the far north. And I can start bringing those 2 infantry units. I only have 38 minutes. Those 2 guys are not going to make it into the pursuit, and we're definitely in the pursuit phase. Unfortunately, it's so crowded on this side of the river. I have 2 infantry units that there's just no room for them to be part of this. And they're just, notice how there's just nothing for them to do. There's no room for them. So I'll let them, hopefully they're recovering some condition and I can bring them up later. Move up my artillery. I'll do that occasionally. I'll just hit pause and reposition all of my artillery and my commanders. That's a really, and supply wagons. All the things that nobody thinks about. The 3 things nobody thinks about: supply wagons, commanders, artillery. Everyone focuses on the infantry. And it's really good to hit the pause button every once in a while and just make sure you move supply wagons, commanders, artillery. It will really help your game. Well, and if you're playing with snipers, you want to pay very close attention to them all the time, too. 25 minutes. I would give $100,000 of the cash I have in my inventory to have 4 units fresh on my left flank right now, on the other side of that river. What good work they could do. Okay, I have 4 tired units, exhausted units, and a cav unit. And I have 2 units that are coming up that are going to get there just 2 minutes too late, probably. Yeah, my army is out of steam. It's just, everybody's exhausted and they can't do any more. So we're going to get as many casualties inflicted as we possibly can. But we have 17 minutes and the army is exhausted. There just is not much of an opportunity to do much more. I'm just really happy the enemy wants to fight and not get out of range, because they could easily get out of range. They could easily just fall back into the wood line and I'd probably not be able to catch up with them. Good, a unit shattered. That's nice. By the way, this is one of the 2 most difficult battles for the North. The first one already took place. This is the second one. After this, everything gets much, much easier. We start to have a really, really powerful army, and the enemy does not seem to have the enemy loses the initiative. From this point on, the Union Army has the initiative, has the size, the much bigger army, the much more powerful army, has the initiative in almost every battle. And even battles where we defend initially, we have great positions, and then we attack, and just our reinforcements come in and we just destroy the enemy. So, okay, this was a very good battle. We got through Malvern Hill. Pretty happy with these results. We were able to take the battle to them. Boy, that unit did incredible damage. 4,000 kills. 2,900, almost 3,000, almost 3,000. So those infantry did a really spectacular job of inflicting casualties on the enemy. Let's see, 24-pound howitzer, 1,900. 24-pound howitzer. Very, very good job. So, yeah. I need to be more aggressive with the 6-pounders, and the snipers were pretty useless because, well, they don't have good weapons. So, but overall, very, very happy with those results. Took the battle to them as much as possible, inflicted as many casualties as much as possible, and we're going to be able to come out of this with a very good army that's going to be really, really good going into the next couple of battles. And the next couple of battles are really unbalanced in our favor. So that's good too. I'm happy to have that. So 10-pounders doing an excellent job. Came in a bit later into the battle and did great work. Yeah, happy with how everybody did. Nice bunch of promotions. A whole bunch of 1-stars are now 2-stars. So my division commanders are going to be 2-star generals, which is exactly the goal. Wanted to get my division commanders up to 2-star as fast as possible, and next we'll make them 3-star generals. So, yeah, and a whole bunch of good weapons came in. So overall, a good battle. And I'll see you in camp. Thanks.